On today's episode of the pod, we discuss Helena Crevar. Is she jiu-jitsu's boogie woman?
$500 flip-flops?
$400 a month gym dues? And more listener questions.
Boss.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the pod. My name is Kenny. I'm here today with Matt. It is episode 88 of the BJJ Balance podcast. We are ever getting closer to episode 100. Pretty exciting shit. And I did calculate, I think roughly, episode 100 should hit right around our 2-year mark.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Pretty stoked on that. Matt, what's in the glasses, brother?
It's fucking June, Kenny. That's what's with the glasses. It's June and I'm being like a real fuckboy. It's gay month. So I gotta be a real douchebag and turn it the other way. You know what I mean? And what's the last thing you want to hear when you're giving John Danaher a blowjob, Kenny?
Good job.
I'm not John Danaher. Anyways, well, guys, welcome back. Take these glasses off. Yeah, that was I was being a real fuckboy right there. But yeah, man, excited. 2 years, 200 episodes. Like we're right on point. I know podcasts that have so many episodes and don't have the traction that we have. And that's because you guys said, you know what? We fuck with the BJJ Balance podcast. We fuck with Kenny. We fuck with Matt. And thank you guys. We really appreciate it. Hopefully, Kenny and I, we're ready to take that next leap in big time sponsorship. Okay. Not even bit. We just want to get paid a little bit. You want to break us off a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, so if you guys want to sponsor us, the podcast, want to push your brand out there, want to push out whatever, not clothing brand. Sorry. Well, let me rephrase that. Not jiu-jitsu clothing brand. But if you want to push out a sponsor and you want to sponsor the podcast, DM at the BJJ Balance podcast and let's work together.
Matt, we got some topics today. And one of them started out just as a question popped in my head. I saw, this week was IBJJF World. It wraps up today. But there was a photo of Helena Crevar on the podium at Worlds, brown belt, first place. And I know she's not undefeated. I know she has some losses. Even this year she had some losses. But she's a pretty dominant champion, especially for her age, especially for how short she's been in the sport on the competitive scene. So actually, I might take that last part back. I could totally be wrong there. She may have been training from small child, like through the youth belts. Maybe I'm
assuming maybe she was. She has a skill set where she's been training for most of her life. I don't know.
So obviously being this like dominant, like barely 18 champion, she's been beating black belts since she was a blue belt. She's starting to get to the point where she's, outside of the super fight realm. She's getting into, essentially professional level women's grappling and whatnot. She's going to end up eventually against a Fiona Davies or something like that in the future. So, my question is, or at least the one that I posed on my Instagram this week was, is part of her performative dominance due to the fear that her opponents have of her, like before they step on the mat with her?
I'm sure. I'm sure there's a part of that. Yeah, she's kind of built this reputation where she's very good at footlock. She's very good at attacking the legs. She's got a lot of eyeballs on her. So when you do fight her, everybody's watching, and then all your teammates watch. So you feel like you have a lot of pressure when you go up against her. Which, if you're a young lady and you're competing against her, there should be exact opposite. I would try to switch your mind and say, hey, all the eyeballs are going to be on me. I gotta, like, there should be no pressure. Like, you know what I mean? Like, use her, like, use this as an experience and do the best you can. But yeah, I could tell that. I mean, what she brings to the table, she brings eyeballs. She brings a good team. She's got, I know I just made the Danaher joke. Sorry. Hope you're healing up from your surgery, sir. But you know, she's got John Danaher watching her matches, coaching against her. She's got Gordon Ryan influence. She's got all that speculation around her. Like, I can see how it could be intimidating. I can see how some girls would maybe avoid her division, or maybe some girls would not want to fight her.
Well, we had quite a few, and again, this was just posted on my personal page, so it wasn't like this wasn't like a collab post or anything like that. It wasn't reaching like a massive audience. It's just the random like 1,500 people that follow my personal IG, and
it needs to be higher, guys.
Right.
What are we doing here? Follow Free Party BJJ. Well, come on, right now. Pause your shit right now. Go follow Kenny, and then come back. Okay, welcome back.
I got a lot of responses from people in the jiu-jitsu community. One of the first ones I read actually was, and I'm going to keep this anonymous for the purpose of, I'm not trying to out anybody or anything like that. But one of the people that responded said that he trains at a pretty competitive school. They do a lot of traveling to larger tournaments, and one of his brown belt adult level women that trains at his school is very competitive. Went to Worlds this year and ended up bumping up a weight class to avoid going against Helena, because this girl really wanted to get a gold, and she's like, if I go against her, I'm not getting it. And then Helena goes up a weight class. So I don't think she was chasing her, but I just think it's wild that like somebody.
Well, Helena's put on some muscle.
Yeah. I mean,
she's put on some muscle. She's got a little bigger. Hey, you got to get rid of those pigtails, though. A little too old for the pigtails now. But besides that,
there's an example of somebody that specifically ran. There's other examples I've heard of somebody who, and this is a different person, reached out to me and said that there was a girl that went up against her in a tournament earlier this year. And they said the girl's mindset going into the tournament, she said this was, I just don't want to get leg locked by her. Like that, she considered that a win in her head. And then he said after the fact, he's like, hey, maybe your mindset should have been, I should beat her.
Exactly.
And I think I think that this is proof that like a lot of her, and this is not to take away anything from her technical ability or, her overall dominance, but fighting, jiu-jitsu competition, sport jiu-jitsu, anything like that, any competitive game, mental is very much a part of it. I would say 50% or maybe even more of the game is your mental game, your mindset when you go into it. You can be the most talented person in the world at any sport that you compete in, and if your mind is trash, you may be like in practice, or you hear stories like that all the time. In the gym, they're a monster, and then they make it into the cage and they just crumble under the big lights. You know what I mean? So it's like, mental is very much a part of it. So, Coach Drew from 10th Planet Marietta, friend of the pod, reached out and he was like, no, I don't think it's that whatsoever. Like, this, I feel like this is taken away from, how good she is as a competitor. And I'm not saying that, Drew. I don't disagree with you. I'm not trying to take away anything from her skill set. She's clearly very, very, very good. But I've got multiple examples of people reaching out saying that women that they know personally that have competed against her, a lot of them, it is a mind fuck. So, she is so good that she scares people. And I think a lot of that goes to the fact that I think Gordon understands how to build a brand online. And I think that John, obviously being this coach that is just bringing, people to the top level of the jiu-jitsu game. Everybody in jiu-jitsu knows who John Danaher is. Everybody, even the new white belt that started 6 weeks ago has heard the name John Danaher. You know what I mean? So I think they've developed this like boogeyman mystique around Helena, because up until recently, I don't follow her IG, but I'm saying like outside of like her IG, you don't really see clips of her talking. She's not really doing pod appearances that I'm aware of. I don't really see her in interviews or anything like that. So she's just kind of like this like quiet, silent assassin that just goes in there, wrecks people. And then, again, you've got the whole like mystique of like, she was a blue belt beating black belts, like with many more years of experience than her. Like,
and then she found Danaher now.
Right.
I look, it's kind of like they can build, and Gordon Ryan has this too. Whether you like him outside of jiu-jitsu, he has built this, and Don Hurt can seem to add to this. He can seem to like get this for his fighters, where you get this like Mike Tyson 1990s fear about you.
Yeah.
And you're going into the fights and you're like, these guys would fight Tyson, would go in there and be like, I just don't want to get knocked out. Like, you know what I mean? Like they were just like trying to, you know, it's, and the talent is there. The talent is there. She's stupendous.
Well, just like it was with Mike too. Just like Mike was very good. Still is.
But yeah, like I've said, if you roll with somebody in class and you didn't know what belt they were, you would roll a lot better.
Right.
With that person.
I've done that.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like if he was no gi and you didn't know that I was a black belt and you roll with me, you'd be like, well, you wouldn't know. And you didn't know who I was. You'd be like, he could be a blue belt. He's big. It's going to be tough. But like you would do better than if I was showing my rank or showing who I was. And then you'd be like, oh, dude, because there's been many times where I'll be rolling and guys will just tap before I even have something because they just feel like they're checked. And that's just because you're not thinking correctly. So yeah, these girls need to say, you know what? Yeah, she's a girl. She wakes up in the morning, does whatever girls do in the morning. And I do that too. Right. And I'm going to give it my all. I think the lack of alpha females in gyms, it's more popular with men.
Right.
Jiu-jitsu. Mm-hmm. So you can have a bunch of dudes that win a lot on one team, but usually there's like one girl on every team who's the one who wins the stuff.
Right.
You know what I mean? And there's a bunch of other girls, but like the one girl on each team. And when that one girl who wins all the little local regional stuff runs into something, a young phenom like Helena, they have pressure on them because all the other girls in class are like, oh dude, I can't wait to see so-and-so fight Helena. She's going to show her. Well, that just puts pressure on this girl.
Right.
When the guys do that, it's like, oh dude, so-and-so's sick. So-and-so, both of them could win. And then like, there's not as much pressure on just that one person. You know what I mean?
Do you think that she's developing kind of that Mayweather effect where like, again, I don't know what her online personality is like. I can't assume it's like Gordon's. I would assume it's like Gordon's. And what I mean by that is I don't think that she's like, I think Gordon's trying to play the heel sometimes. You know what I mean? I think he's trying to be like intentionally, you know, kind of cringy or kind of like an asshole to kind of bring that heel factor in because it does get you more eyes and it does get you more fans too. You know what I mean? And it gets you more haters, which I think hater and fan they're the same thing. They're just opposite ends of the coin. You know what I mean? Right. And I think that Mayweather was kind of the king of that in the boxing world where everybody tuned into a Mayweather fight, whether you loved him or hate him, because if you loved him, you wanted to see him win. And if you hated him, you wanted so badly to watch the guy lose that you didn't want to miss the fight that he might lose. So you're giving your money up. You're giving your money up either way. You know what I mean? So Mayweather didn't care either way. Like, hey, you're still paying me. And I think that, so I don't think that she's got that like where people hate her, but I do think that she's so dominant that by default, somebody wants to see her taken down. You know what I mean? So I think that there's a lot of eyes kind of tuning in for that as well. Like, not that they wish anything ill against her as a person, but that it's just like, dude, how long are we going to have this, like, you know, super dominant person? It's just like, honestly, dude, as young as she is.
15 more years.
Yeah. I would say as young as she is.
Probably for 15 more years. Your whole jiu-jitsu career could be murked by this girl.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? Like, she is at the age where she could be the greatest girl jiu-jitsuer of all time.
She's not even in her prime. She's not even in her prime, guys.
Not even in prime.
Not even in.
We're not playing in the factor of like kids and marriage, and you know, there's a lot of things probably in her future that will put perspective in your jiu-jitsu. Right now, she's young. She probably lives at home still, and she's just training 3-4 times a day. Weightlifting, her whole life is jiu-jitsu. I think she homeschools. Like, you know what I mean? Like, her whole thing is jiu-jitsu. Where all these other girls got responsibilities. You know what I mean? They got to make dinner for their husband. No, I was joking. That was a joke. But they got to do stuff, and they got to, you know what I mean? So it's like right now, we'll see. If life slows down on her a little bit, we'll see.
If it does, though, she may take that ultra competitive role where that's not a thing. You know what I mean? I see what you're saying though. I think that's what kind of happened to Mackenzie Dern in the UFC. You know what I mean? She had the
you
kid.
think, I was just going to ask that. You think Mackenzie, when she got married, she had a kid, life stuff started happening.
Yeah.
You know, she started doing MMA, but this is after jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu, she was a phenom, but then when the MMA met a man, got married. Congrats for all that, even though it didn't work out, and she's door dashing, whatever. But you think that all that, kind of real life stuff kind of halted her training a little bit, where she couldn't focus 100% on just being a pure athlete.
Right. Yeah.
So I think that could have been a situation. So,
well, I mean, you got to think that it just with the pregnancy, like that's immediate. As soon as you find out, you're not training anymore. At least, you know what I mean? Like for MMA, there's no striking at that point.
You're not training 3 times a day.
Right. Right. And the last, probably 3 months before the birth, you're not training at all. And then after the baby, you're not training for at least a couple of months.
And then your body changes.
Right. And then you've got the guilt of like, I don't want to leave my baby, da, da, da. Like, I get it. I saw that with my wife just going back to work, let alone, she's not training jiu-jitsu. She's not training striking. So
yeah,
I 100% see that with Mackenzie. So, but yeah, I could see that being a possibility with Helena, but I don't know. I mean, again, I don't follow her social media. I don't see what her private life is like.
She's not old enough for me to follow her.
No,
you know what I mean?
No.
Sorry. Not going to not going to do it. Just refuse. But no, like I think that it would be, there's a lot of good matches out there for her. Fionn, right. Everybody wants to see that right now. If I had to pick between them two, I don't think right now Helena can match up with Fionn Davies.
So
I think if Danaher and them thought that was possible, they'd be asking for it. And I don't think she even got her black belt. She won Worlds and she didn't get her black belt,
right?
Which to me is kind of crazy. Like, why wouldn't you get your black belt? Like, why wouldn't Danaher, or maybe Danaher wasn't there?
No, I think she just got her brown, bro. I think
she won Worlds.
I get it.
Worlds is automatic. If you win Worlds as an adult, it's an automatic jump.
Yeah.
Like that's how you can bypass the rule. You can bypass the 2-year limit if you win Worlds.
Maybe she gets the black when she gets back home, because I don't think John was there. I don't think John's traveling right now, given his injuries. I could be wrong. He might have fucking been there. I don't know.
Yeah. And it was just a joke, Mr. Danaher. I hope you have a sense of humor. I heard he does. So hopefully that doesn't go over south, especially when I clip it.
The other wild topic in the jiu-jitsu world right now is the Gordon Jones toe hold back and forth drama.
Yeah, what's that about? I mean, first of all, $500 for are they really like $500 for a pair of sandals?
Yes. I want to say the cheapest.
No wonder shit. Gordon, no wonder you didn't get no fucking money. It was fucking $250 a shoe. I want
to say it's like I think the cheapest pair they have might be like $350, $375.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
For a pair of sandals.
But yeah, I mean, Gordon's got receipts. There's one thing about Gordon, the boy got receipts.
Gordon's got a plan. If anything, Gordon's got a plan.
If anything, Gordon's got receipts.
Yeah.
And everything that comes through, he keeps. And
I don't think he's angrily posting on a whim. He's like, if he's doing a big post about this, it's very calculated. He's gone through probably fucking hundreds of messages, back and forth messages, audio messages. The cool thing about them being audio messages on Instagram is they stay. You do an audio message on iMessage, and that shit goes away 2 minutes after you listen to it. So
yeah,
you kind of lucked out there.
It is a
Gordon strikes me as an Android user though. So
you think?
Yeah, I think so.
Gordon's got a Droid. That makes sense. He likes apps and stuff. But that picture quality from the wall is not as good. Oh, Jesus Christ. From the chair, it's not as good from the Android. Gordon, you gotta realize that.
I'm going to cut this part out too. No, I'm not going to say it right now, because if I forget to cut it out, I definitely don't want it to be heard. So I'll tell you afterwards.
Don't say it. Yeah. Don't say it, guys. We have a lot of inside jokes. And you guys just got to come train with us. I'm just like giving Kenny all his extra work. It's like, damn, I got to chop this now. Fuck. But yeah, also Gordon opened his new school.
Yeah.
Which someone told me the pricing.
Yeah. So,
and I almost fucking fell out of my cuck chair, dude.
right.
That
$400 a month.
$400 a month for jiu-jitsu. Hey, I love jiu-jitsu.
Right.
My favorite thing to do besides stay at home.
I heard AOJ is like 300, but
to me, that's high.
Look, here's a crazy thing. Okay. AOJ is a well-established school in the competition realm. You know what I mean? I don't think they've been around a super long time. And aren't they a branch of like, didn't they break off of Autos, if I'm correct?
Right. I think so. Yes.
So phenomenal lineage. And they've have a proven track record of breeding young champions. That being said, I think a $300 price tag, if you had a kid that was ultra competitive and you lived in that area, in the Orange County area, what gym are you going to take them to? And you're not a checkmat guy already. What gym are you going to take? If you're just a regular dad in Orange County and you're like, I want my kid, he's really interested in jiu-jitsu. He started, going to this like other school. He's done really well in competition, but I want to take him to the next level. AOJ is where you're taking your kid. You know what I mean? So I get the $300 price tag. They've earned that. I get Gordon is who Gordon is, but we don't know who Gordon is as a coach unless you've taken a private or a seminar.
Right.
And at least from my understanding, all of the champions that come from that DDS stable have been products
I heard he's great from coaching from the corner. But
directing and coaching are different.
Directing is different. No, but like look, you got to take a couple things into factors. Okay. One,
Geographic.
That's what I was looking for, Kenny. Thank you. And say it again.
Geographic.
Geographically, you got to put that in perspective. Like if I have a gym and it's in a worse area, like say it's in like a more a poor area, like say it's in a Hemet, right? Okay. You're not going to charge as much as you're going to charge in Temecula. And say if you're in Temecula, Marietta, you're not going to charge as much as you would be in San Diego. So like, I get why some of these gyms like Autos and these bigger gyms in like by the beach areas are over $200 a month because you're putting the rent is higher. You know what I mean? You're playing this game. You're trying to get the same recall. And then you add world 1%er class instruction on top of that, then you ups it a little bit more. So,
well, I mean,
that makes sense.
If you look at the AOJ, if you go to AOJ's Instagram page and you look at like the videos, both of their schools are works of art. It's not a jiu-jitsu, the typical jiu-jitsu gym. You know what I mean? It's
beautiful. It's beautiful.
Yeah. You know what it is? It's like what an Equinox Health Club is?
Yes.
It's like the equivalent of an Equinox Health Club for jiu-jitsu. That's how nice they are. Just insanely nice. So I get it. Like,
they're definitely putting that membership money back into the gym. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you got to put those things in as factors, but like still anything to me personally, anything over $250 a month is that's crazy, man. That's crazy.
Yeah. But clearly people are willing to pay it.
Yeah. I mean, but hey, if people are willing to pay it, and guess Gordon's already got 100 students.
Yeah.
Right. Cause he had that deal. Like if you start for the first year, it's $200 a month.
$250
for the first year.
$250. If you were one of the first 100 students, it's $250 a month for the first year. And then after a year, it bumps up to $400 a month. Everybody else after that 100 is $400 a month.
He's going to do fine. He's wearing the gi again. Because why? Why? Because gi classes are where your money's at. And if you want your dudes to train, you know what I mean? So like, yeah, so he's good for them, man. Good. Congrats, Gordon, on your new school. Hopefully it's successful. I'm sure it will be. The guy seems to be very, very smart with his money.
Real quick to backtrack on the just the Helena thing real quick. This is just something that popped in my head was she won worlds in gi. So
yeah,
I think that that when you said it could end up being the GOAT women's grappler, she's competing both. And I think that is just a testament to what you're saying. You know what I mean? Like
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if she can go on to be
pace.
Yeah. If she can go on to win, gi or no gi in brown, maybe that's where they give her black if she wins no gi worlds.
Yeah, maybe. You might be right.
And then, if she does that.
And maybe John wasn't there, and she wanted John to do it. I don't know.
Right. You do all that, and then you go on to adult women's black, and you do the same thing multiple times in a row in both gi and no gi, and you go do ADCC, women's ADCC, and you went, you know what I mean? Like, there, I think that she ends up being a shoo-in for that. If she, know, at her age, at her pace that she's at right now, with no distractions, Yeah,
I mean, I sky's the limit. Sky's the limit for her. There's a bunch of good girls out there, though.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of good little young phenoms out there. I mean, we got one in our gym. Kat is, Kat's a gangster. Kat Jacobo, follow her. But yeah, she's, you know what I mean? Like, and I know for a fact she wants that fight. She's been wanting that fight.
Oh, really?
So not scared of it. You know what I mean? But
and that's the mindset you got to have. That's the mindset you got to have, dude.
Yep.
So we got some questions. We have a lot of fucking questions this week. So I don't know we're going to get through all of them. There is one that I said that I would. So this is one that somebody sent in a while ago, and it got overlooked in one of the episodes. So I'm going to start with this one. This is from Robert Botts. He says, Kenny, I've been listening intently each week since I submitted my question for the Q&A, and I have not heard them come through. Just wanted to bring these questions back to the front of your inbox for consideration. Thank you, and aim for the bushes. 2 questions for the pod. Blue belt dad, over 40, looking to grow skill set beyond what my gym has to offer, as I seem to be the biggest fish in our pond. How do I stay balanced with life yet gain the experience I seek, or should I just be satisfied with what I have? And then the second question, because I think we can roll these into one answer. Number 2, my coach promoted to purple belt before leaving his gym and starting his own. How do I remain loyal yet become an official black belt one day?
Okay, first one, competition, bro. If you're 40, get out there and compete. Competition will show you, even though you may be the biggest fish in your room, maybe you're in a lower level gym, those guys will grow.
Right.
You just got to be patient. And competition, you compete as much as you can. I know maybe your schedule doesn't warrant it, but if you compete, you can see what the other blue belts in your areas are. Hit open mats. Open mats are free. Mm-hmm. I'm sure if you have a legit professor, they're not going to care if you go to other open mats. And so yeah, that's the way. Put yourself in bad spots. Put yourself in bad positions. There's ways to get work. Your professor should be rolling with you more if he knows that you're struggling to get work,
right? And
he should be putting you in bad spots. So
also,
that's just pretty much it.
When you're competing, we've talked about this on the pod before as well. When you're competing, you're going to make friends with those guys that you're competing with. And if there's a guy that you just can't beat for whatever reason, and you guys have a good rapport, you know what I mean? There's not like bad blood. Like maybe go check their gym out. If they're at a competition, they're semi-local to you. Like go check that gym out and see. Like, I'm not saying switch gyms, but like you might get some work there, or you might see a new perspective on jiu-jitsu. Like, especially at a blue belt, kind of a lower level, like your looks on jiu-jitsu, like you've only seen what's been put in front of you in the 2 to maybe 3 years you've been training. So, getting some different looks at different gyms, you might find something out there that's maybe a better fit for you that you didn't even know. You weren't looking for another gym. You just happened to stumble across something that fit your training schedule or training type better, your body type or anything like that. And I think that kind of rolls into question number 2. Like, if you want to end up being a legit black belt, you're going to have to wait for your purple belt. I hope he's training elsewhere. If he just opened a gym as a purple and he's going to promote himself to brown and black, like, get the fuck out of there. So I hope
so the question is, he got promoted to purple belt and opened his own gym?
No, his professor left. The professor was training, left the gym he was training at as a purple belt and started his own gym. So he started a gym as a purple belt.
So his professor was a purple belt and then he left?
No. Before he trained there, his professor was just a purple belt at a gym, right? It would be like if AJ Soria was training at your gym, leaves Poncho, goes and opens his own gym as a purple belt. He's the head instructor.
Okay.
And now your brother signs up at AJ's gym to be a white belt. So how is this purple belt going to get to black and promote somebody else to black?
He's not going to be able to promote someone to black. You have to be a second degree black belt to even be able to give somebody a black belt. So keep that in mind. But a purple belt can promote up to, I don't know if purple belt can promote. I'm not sure. I know brown belts can promote to blue. I think there's rules. So that purple belt is going to have to cross train. He's going to have to come back to his home gym and get his work in,
right,
to keep his belting. If he just stops and focuses on his school and probably saying, I'm just going to switch to no-gi because there's no belts. I bet you that's what he's going to do. If he doesn't, you know, but if he wants to keep gi training, he's going to have to come back and visit. Like, look at Jason. Jason still, your professor, still comes to Marietta, right, and trains and teaches, and he's involved and he's growing through the school. Granted, he doesn't have to. He's a professor, and as long as he's showing involvement in the jiu-jitsu community, he will get his degrees every 3 years, right? But he's still active with Checkmat Marietta, and that purple belt's going to have to come back and grow his belts.
Right.
Now, I know Perponcho has guys who are belts under him, and they went and opened a school. Like, I knew a guy who opened a school as a brown belt, and Poncho would go down and visit him a couple times a year. He'd fly Poncho out and all that good stuff, right? So I do know that, and eventually, you know, Poncho sees you working, sees you training, sees you teaching, he'll belt you. You know what I mean? Because you're still involved in the game. But, you know, yeah, you're going to have to like still keep a good rapport with your professor, or you're just going to not progress.
Right.
So yeah, you're going to have to, I would just, yeah.
Well, and that's the thing too, is that he's a blue belt and his professor's a purple belt. So you're only one belt behind your professor. So let's say hypothetically he does get his black and you're like 2 years behind. He won't even have a stripe on his black belt. This guy
must be a good friend of you. It must be a good friend of his or something, because if I'm looking for a gym, and this is no slight on anybody who's opening a gym at a lower belt, but if I'm opening a gym and I'm a purple belt, one, I don't have the confidence. Like, what if a visitor, the higher belt visitor, walks in?
Right.
Like, what if a black belt visiting comes in and say, "Hey, can I roll?" And you're like, "Yeah, sure." How does like the end of the class go? You're teaching a black belt moves in class, and like, what are we doing? Like, to me, my confidence, if I was opening a gym at a lower belt, would not be high enough to run a school. I would hire an outside black belt. I would hire a black belt. I would call my old professor, like, "Hey, you got any black belts who want to like work here? I'm paying this set amount of class, blah, blah, blah." You know what I mean?
Right.
Until I can get my belt up to par. You know what I mean? That's what I would do. I don't know these guys who open gyms as browns and purples, that takes some real fucking stones. I know in Midwest and some of the South, jiu-jitsu gyms are hard to find, and you can be more successful that way. But and a purple belt is nothing to write home about, like we've said. But yeah, I could not open a gym if I wasn't a black belt, to me.
Right.
If I didn't have someone with me, a partner who was, at least.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I agree with that totally. Yeah, that's going to be a tough one, dude. You got to figure that out. I know you want to be loyal and whatnot, but like, you're paying for a service. It's not just,
I started under a blue belt back in the early 2000s, the Wild West. And that blue belt will go to a class and learn what he taught in class and come back and teach it to us. And he couldn't even stripe us. He couldn't even belt us. He couldn't do nothing. I trained to this guy when I was doing MMA for a couple years. Okay. It sucked. As a student, I was like, dude, I'm just going to be a white belt forever. Well, that was part of my 5-year white belt journey. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, dude, and then finally, when I went to the gym he was actually going to, I went there, and when I got there, I thought like I knew something. So I can roll. I fight a little bit. I roll every day, these guys in the class, but we were learning from a blue belt. So our technique was not as good as it should have been. And I got murked by the white belts in there. I thought I was blue belt level because I'd been training for 2 years, but I went in there and get some of the white belt gi guys who were learning under legit, professor, Andre Leite at this time. Yeah. And he was, because Tom at the time was a blue belt at Carlson Gracie's.
Oh, God.
Tom was a blue belt at the time. And Tom, just like I just said, was like, I cannot teach a school yet. I am not a black belt yet. And so he was hiring black belts.
Oh, so he opened a jiu-jitsu. He opened Carlson Gracie as a blue belt?
Yeah, he's been there forever, yeah. But he'd have Carlson Gracie Jr. was always there all the time. I partnered in it, I believe. I don't know the logistics of that. And Tom would hire black belts to help him run the school because he obviously wasn't there yet.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, and
that's
so
smart. Let me handle
but
the
these
business
guys
side.
were better. Me from my little training in a garage under a blue belt, driving up to Temecula and training with the same age, same level guys as me at the time, or under a legit black belt instruction. Your boy was getting diced up. You know what I mean? I was like, dude, okay, it was a real eye opening for me. Like, okay, right. When you show up to a real gym, a real one with legit guys who legit training, legit professors and a legit lineage, your holes will get exposed real fucking fast. And you'll know like, hey, something's going on. Whatever I was learning over there, everybody here is a fucking problem. This is where I need to be.
Right.
The problem is where you need to be. If you're having an issue in the class because this class is good, that's probably you want to go.
Right. Right. Well, like, there's that saying, all boats rise. So, I mean, if you're the big, like he was mentioning, if you're the big fish in the small pond, or you're the big boat so it's like, you got to have people in the room are only going to be as good as the best guy in the room. You know what I mean? So if the best guy in the room is your professor who's a purple belt and you're right below him, he
could be a great purple belt. There's some good ones.
Right.
I'm not saying that he's trash,
but
he could be phenomenal.
Right. But he's
and
not.
He probably is pretty good if he said, I'm going to open my own school.
Right.
But hey, bro, like, I don't know, man. Like,
well, I'd even say that
in school with the black belt's going to get more smoke. That's for sure. More people are going to want
a gym of your size as well, like of Checkmate Murrieta. It's like when you go to train at Checkmate Murrieta, you can walk in there and it's like, I'd say the average jiu-jitsu school, like even in, our area, you might have a black belt instructor and maybe one other black belt, You go to Checkmate Murrieta on any given class. Could be the 6 a.m. class, could be the fucking, 5 p.m., 6 p.m. class. There could be, and I'm not joking, anywhere from like 8 to 15 black belts on the mat.
Right. So we had 7 black belts on the mat last Monday.
AM?
Yep. 6 a.m.
6 a.m.
7
black belts at 6 a.m. class.
Just getting ready for Worlds.
Right. So it's yeah, it's like that. And that's the thing too, is like, it's not like, oh, I got to go ask this one black belt a question. It's like, hey, I can go ask all of these black belts the same question, probably get varying answers depending on body types and size and preferential guard and things like that. And different techniques. Everybody, even though they're all a black belt under Poncho, they've all kind of done their own study as well. You know what I mean? Watching things online, seeing what works for them, what works for their game. Some moves click in people's heads differently than others. So you've got all these different takes on essentially the same moves, maybe slightly different variations and whatnot. So there's a lot of different looks out there and just in one room at a legit gym versus like,
I remember like 2015, I'd be training with Poncho at Dance 2015, 2016. And we were all low belts. All of us,
mm-hmm.
I think Cahill was a purple. Your professor was a white. I was a blue. Like Phil was a blue. Like we were all like just fucking nobodies in the game, and just Poncho, and Poncho would have to, like this guy, Poncho would have to leave and go to headquarters and get smoke in when he get real training because we weren't bringing it for him at the time. You know what I mean? We're just getting, so same thing, but rising tides, right? We all started getting good. We all started competing. We all started getting better. Now there's a ton of black belts.
Right. We've got one last question. So this one is going to be from Kevin Reynolds. Born gentleman, looking for your thoughts on paying fees when injured longer term. If you're injured for a period of time and you're out, should you still pay gym fees? I was injured for like 2 to 3 months and kept paying And I personally never really thought about it until I was speaking with a guy that I know from work who trains elsewhere who stopped paying when he was out for a few months. Money is tight everywhere, but I feel like a good owner kind of pays these things back. If you were suddenly unemployed, it would be paid back in kind. Also, gyms had it hard during COVID. And if you're treated well, my view is why wouldn't you keep paying to support the owner and the school? I appreciate everyone's circumstances and different, but people's opinions will be different on it.
Great question. Granted, if your life, I know for a fact, if life kicks you in the pills and you're in the dumps, I've seen it, and Poncho would never admit it, but I've seen guys say they can't afford it, and Poncho's like, just come train. Just get here. You know what I mean?
Right.
Just come. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
There's so many guys that are just training. You know what I mean? Like, right. I mean, this is because he's such a great guy. You know what I mean? He's such a great guy. Yeah. And I feel like sometimes guys will take advantage of that for sure. Some guys are taking advantage of him for that.
Yeah. I can speak to this exactly, dude. So like, there was a point in time, it was like, I think maybe a year and a half ago or something like that, where like financially I was in a bind and I was like, really like work had slowed down, things like that. I work a commission-based job. So it's like money can be phenomenal sometimes and sometimes it can be dog shit. And I remember like I was just getting bills paid and there was like nothing left over. And I remember hitting Jason up playing like, hey man, and this was like right before a tournament too. This is like, I think it was going to be my first blue belt tournament. I was like, hey dude, like I'm in a bind right now financially. Like I'm going to need to like take a break from jiu-jitsu for like a month or two until I sort this shit out. But like I'm usually the guy that can like find a way, if that makes sense. And I just, in my brain, like, in this situation, I could not find a way financially to make this work. And I'm like, I've scaled back my spending in all these other areas. And like, this is like the last, like kind of like expense where it's just like, I can't swing it. So I hit Jason up and he was just like, hey man, don't worry about it. Like just pay me when you can, kind of a thing. And within like 2 weeks, work was back good again. And I paid him the money. So I was just like, I was 2 weeks late on gym dues. But I was like, and I don't think he was even expecting that. Like, I probably didn't even have to necessarily pay me. Probably would just say like, get me next month kind of a thing for, you'll be up to date.
It's just started back up.
Yeah. But like, it's just one of those things. And then like right now I've been out of jiu-jitsu for 3 weeks because I've been sick. Well, I'm not going to, that's 3/4 of a month. I'm not going to not pay a month of, you know what I mean? Like I still paid. You know, I'm still a member of the gym. I can't make it right now because I've been fucking sick with this bullshit.
There's things you can do when you're hurt and when you're injured. Yeah. Like if you had surgery, you could still show up to the gym and be part of the team and watch. You can learn a lot from watching class. I do it all the time.
Yeah, Jason's done it too.
Yeah, I do it all the time.
Yeah.
I'm hurt all the time.
Jason said my professor, when he was training, he said he injured his knee as a white belt and had to have knee surgery. And he said he was off the mat for like 6 months. And he goes, I showed up every single day to class and just sat there on the mats and, watched technique and listened to the professor and hung out with the guys. Like that was my team. So I was still a part of the team. I just, I couldn't train because I was healing from an injury.
Yeah. Look at COVID, the darkness. That's what we like to call it. But I don't think you get flagged for saying the word. COVID was a real issue for a lot of people. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it scared the dog shit out of a lot of professors because small business, like you can't do it. And a sport like jiu-jitsu.
Right.
When everybody was like scared, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
we're talking about
we're going to hug
distance.
each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. The worst job to have during COVID was a jiu-jitsu professor because everybody's like, don't touch anybody. You're like, that's all we do over here. Look, everybody, I remember being on a big Zoom call and talking to, Poncho and them. And he's like, look, I get it. If you guys are scared, you want to stop and freeze. It's okay. I'll figure it out. It was a real scary time but a lot of us, it was a black belt Zoom call. A lot of us were like, nah, keep paying. Cause now if your job was affected, I get it. If financially you kids got to eat and your wife gets to eat and jiu-jitsu is too tough, hey, feed your kids first. But if you're still making money, I don't know about you, but UPS took the fuck off during COVID. Okay. Right. So, we all said, no, I'm not freezing my account. We're going to pay. There was no gym. the gym was closed. Okay.
Yeah.
Gym was closed, and
I'm like, damn, they got their windows tinted.
yeah, I got tinted windows. Gym was closed, and we kept paying. Because when we go through tough times, we know the professor will help us out, and this was our chance to be like, no, dude,
right. Give back.
This is not happening.
You've made multiple stories, or comments, stories about Poncho, like giving back to people silently. You know what I mean? Like on the low.
Yes.
Like, hey,
yes.
and not even like free training, like other stuff outside of that.
Oh yes.
And so if you're privy to that information, it's just like, dude, I've watched this guy take care of multiple people over the years. Like, if I have the means to do this right now, I'm not stepping out on this, like I totally get that.
Yeah. We're not shutting his dream down. Like, yeah, I think like when a jiu-jitsu professor, when you cancel and when you freeze your thing, yeah, it's saving you some money per month, but that's how he makes, it's saving you money, but that's how he feeds his kids.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's not like, I would refrain from ever freezing your membership if you're happy at the gym. If you can swing it, keep paying and help the gym. That's the way you can contribute to your gym. Keep paying. And obviously if you couldn't, then you can't. But if you could, like, I'm not going to freeze it because I can't train. Like, it's not like LA Fitness where you're like, I'm out. I'm going to cancel my membership right now. Like, LA Fitness is a huge company. They're not like worried about your one membership. One individual jiu-jitsu gym, that's their livelihood. Like, I'm helping. And if you love your professor and you consider him a brother or a friend, keep helping if you can.
Right. That's it for questions, brother.
You think of what I'm thinking?
You are electric.
Sometimes, dude. Sometimes, especially if I sit down too long. Aim for the bushes. My name is Matt at Oast Nation BJJ. Follow me there. Follow Kenny at Freak Party BJJ. Follow us on the Discord, YouTube, TikTok. I post, Kenny doesn't. We want 7,000 on Instagram. We appreciate everything you guys have ever done for us. Yeah, it's June, so tighten those belts, boys. Anyways, have a good one, and we'll catch you guys around. Oast.